everybody, it's Teresa with Resixin.com. When we moved into this house, we found a few little unfinished projects waiting for us, and that resulted in 5 of these pallets being left throughout the backyard. So since I'm a crafter and somebody who cares about recycling, I see this as opportunity. I thought that I would give myself a challenge. 5 pallets, 3 projects, 1 day. Can I do it? I'll be sharing this with you over the next week, but I've got some good things coming up. So project number 1 is going to be a compost bin. It's the middle of summer, and so that might seem to you like the wrong time of year to be thinking about compost bins. Most often people start thinking about that in springtime when it's time to plant, but by then it's too late. When you're planting stuff, that's when you need the compost, and you won't have any by then. So this is actually the perfect time to build a compost bin. As you are harvesting or doing your lawn work, you know, mowing all this grass that's going crazy, and then as we go into fall, there'll be leaves. You want all of that to have a place to go. That is all gold come springtime. So you want to have your bin ready for all of that. So now's our chance. So I'm going to use a couple of pallets like this that are just one-sided. So if you have a pallet that has these planks on both sides, the first thing you're going to want to do is take those off. So since mine already have that, I can get started on the next step. So I'm going to use 2 pallets this size to make the compost bin. But as you'll see going forward, this is a super simple, make it up, fly by the seat of your pants kind of project. So you can change the dimension. Okay, so this is what my pallet piece started like. And so I used my skill saw and cut right down as close to this middle stud as I could get. And that leaves me with 2 of these, what are going to be our fence pieces, and you'll need 4 of those total. And then with this piece, I pried off 3 of these little nuggets, and that's what's going to help hold all of our pieces together. So once I got those cuts made, I had to do a little bit of repair work before I could start building. The pallets are not always in the best of shape when you get them. They're supposed to be kind of disposable, so they're not made with a lot of care. So I went in at the top of each of these posts and put in a couple more screws to give it a lot more stability and strength. And the way I did that is just the same way that I'm going to show you how to put our pieces together. So on my electric drill, I have a drill bit that is the same size as these screws. So the first thing I have to do is drill a pilot hole. So now I've swapped out for a screwdriver tip. This is a Phillips head tip since the screws I'm using are Phillips head screws. And I'm just going to screw these right into the holes that I started. So that simple technique, just screwing through the 2 pieces of wood, is how you're going to repair all these posts. And so that's also what I've done to join them. So let me explain this setup a little bit. What I've done is taken 2 of our fence pieces and butted them right up against each other. And then with one of those little leftover wood pieces, I screwed them 1 on each side. And so now this will make the long back wall of our fence. Now that I've got the 2 pieces kind of holding everything in, I want to reinforce it so that it can be strong against all of the piles of dirt I'm going to put on it, plus the giant dog that lives in my backyard. So I'm going to do a few more screws to make it indestructible. And so that's how you join the middle piece, and then when you put the 2 walls on, we're basically going to make a big open-faced square. It's the same way. We will just, instead of having them butt up against each other, we'll have them parallel, or no, sorry, we'll have them perpendicular to each other like this, and have that square piece of wood here to hold it all together. So let me get that all set up and I'll show you. So I built myself a little fort here. But this is what I wanted to show you about how I butted the two pieces up perpendicularly, and then with that little piece of scrap wood, 3 screws on each side, and now this sucker is not going anywhere. So you really could stop here if you wanted to. I wanted to reinforce it a little bit more, but also provide a way for all those tiny little pieces of plant matter to be a little more corralled. So also salvaged from my backyard is this piece of chicken wire. So I went ahead already and cut it to the height of these posts, and so then with my staple gun here, I'm just going to staple it to the inside of my compost bin. There, all the chicken wire is installed and my compost bin is built. Now all we have to do is install it, and this will depend on what the ground is like in your area, and actually I'm not even 100% sure what the ground is like in my area. I'm going to try just hammering these straight into the ground, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to build a little trench and just kind of bury a couple inches of it under the ground. But I think I've made this strong enough that it'll stand up on its own, so I won't have to worry about too much of getting it in the ground. But let's go see how that will work. This spot in the yard where I knew I wanted our compost is kind of this barren desert. The ground here was super hard, and so my bright idea of nailing it straight into the ground was not exactly successful. If you have a soft spot in your yard, then that'll work just great. But what we ended up doing was digging a little trench and just kind of burying about 2 inches underground. It's already pretty darn stable, so you don't need a lot, but this way it's all kind of level and it just helps give it a little bit more stability. So that's it. Our project is done. I have this wheelbarrow full of kitchen scraps from all of my canning adventures I've been doing this summer, and I now have a place to put it all so that come spring I will have the most beautiful, nutrient-dense soil to put on all of my new growing things. And when I'm doing all of my late summer, early fall yard work, I've got some place to corral all that mess. That always makes me happy. So this project is super easy. Now, if you wanted to have a door, you could just continue the process just like we did. Maybe 2 more pieces. You could even hinge one to open it. But I find this to be a lot more functional, to have this big open space, because now I can easily get a shovel in here. I can get a wheelbarrow in here. It's a lot less heavy lifting for me. I can turn the compost easily. So sometimes those compost bins that look super pretty are actually really not very functional at all. And so this gives you a little barrier to keep it all contained, but it's still super functional. So I hope this was inspiring. Keep giving all those comments and subscribe to the channel for me, and let me know if you have any creative problems in your life that I can help you solve, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.